On today's episode of the Duck Zone 503 podcast, we're going to talk about how hot the Oregon Ducks are getting on the recruiting trail. My name is Dominic Peterson. This is the Duck Zone 503 podcast where we talk all things Oregon football. Whether you're a first-time viewer or a long-time viewer of the podcast, guys, I kindly ask that you go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below. But most importantly, guys, telling your friends and family about the podcast. Word of mouth is what helps grow this podcast the fastest. I really appreciate everybody who does. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and goes to our social medias. We got the viewers right here on IG. So appreciate you guys. Follow on the social medias at DuckZone503. Quickest way to get the updates directly from me about all things Oregon football and joining the podcast. Go Ducks. Let's get into it here. So it was a double quack Monday for the Ducks as Colorado defensive back Nico Reed and Eastern Carolina offensive lineman Nishad Strother both announced to transfer to Oregon. Big transfer commitments on the way to Oregon and much needed positions of need, right? And the Oregon Ducks are now going to look toward the recruiting ranks to keep this thing going. A lot of momentum. We expected it after the spring game. Usually happens after spring game. We see a string of commitments. It looks like it's going to start happening. It looks like potential. So let's get into it. Again, guys, if you have not checked out my most recent breakdown on the two newest transfers, the two newest additions that I just mentioned, please feel free to go check that out after the video. It's my most recent video. All right, guys, so Dan Lanning and the Ducks are not done at all, as a couple of major Oregon targets are set to commit this Saturday on May 20th. On top of that, a few other key targets have also placed the Ducks on their top list of schools, so let's talk all about it and get into it. First, let's go ahead and talk about the recruit that I'm most certain that will commit on Saturday without a doubt, and that is 2024 four-star defensive line Xavier Sims. Out of Durant High School out there in Durant, Oklahoma, standing 6'3", 270 pounds. He's listed as the number 23 defensive lineman, number 194th nationally, and the number one player in Oklahoma, according to 247 Sports Composite rankings. He's down to a Final Five of Oregon, TCU, Michigan State, Oklahoma, and Vanderbilt. Now, Michigan State was considered to be the leaders for him early in his recruitment, but as it heads closer to his decision time on Saturday, it's kind of looking like an Oregon and Oklahoma battle. Oregon offered Sims back in January, and ever since then has picked up major steam in his recruitment. According to 247sports.com, Oregon looks to be the favorite to land him. You got lead expert Steve Wiltfong, who placed his crystal ball to Oregon on May 17th, a few days ago. And then you got three other Michigan State insiders that have their crystal balls placed from MichiganStateInsider.com. Two of the three have them to Oregon. One of them has him going to Michigan State, but that crystal ball was placed, let me remind you, in November 2022. So things have changed since then, and Oregon didn't even offer him back in November when that crystal ball was placed. So things look to be heading Oregon's way for Xavier Sims, 2024 four-star defensive lineman. According to On3 Sports, another recruiting website I like to go look at to kind of get a tell of things if Oregon's considered the favorite area. Oregon is considered a heavy major favorite at 95.2% chance to land him, according to On3 Sports recruiting prediction machine. Now, Sims has visited the hometown Oklahoma Sooners a total of 4 times while only visiting Oregon 2 times. And it's also important to note here that the Oklahoma coaching staff has placed a huge importance on keeping in-state recruits at home by signing the number 1, number 2, number 10, and number 15 recruits in the state's last recruiting cycle. So Brett Venables and that coaching staff, they're looking to lock their guys in, and this is another recruit that the Ducks are looking to grab, and it's the number 1 recruit in the state. So this is going to be very important for the Sooners to lock in, and the Ducks are looking to get a steal here. Out of all the 5 teams on his final schools list, Oregon got the most recent visit. So it's always important to look at that as well when looking at a recruit when he's coming down to his decision is who got that last visit, because that's the school that's going to get that last pitch, that last saying, that last pitch to him to come to their school, right? So Oregon got the most recent visit on April 22nd, 2023. And in addition to that, defensive lineman coach Tony Toyota went out for a home visit to Sims during the spring evaluation period, which is really big. So that just shows you how much of a priority that this Oregon staff is putting into Sims. If you got you bringing them on visits to your campus, and then you got coaches flying out for home visits, making sure you're catching up with them. So Oregon looks to be a lock, and according to the experts, Oregon looks to be a heavy favorite to land Sims on Saturday. So, and you'd think also it'd be a major pitch for playtime to come to Oregon as a defensive lineman, given veteran players like Casey Rogers, Brandon Dorless, Popo Amave, guys like that will be gone after this year. So playtime, I know we loaded up on defensive linemen in the 2023 class, but in 2024 class, you cannot get enough of these defensive and offensive linemen. No, the doubt. So overall, I think that Oregon is in pretty good shape. No doubt. I think they're in pretty good shape to land Sims. And I also think that with the crystal balls of Steve Wilfong, 91% on 3, this looks like a pretty good pickup for the Ducks. You can't count out, though. I got to remind you guys, you just can't count out the hometown Sooners and Brent Venables, as they look to lock in a lot of their in-state guys. But as far as the experts go, 2024 4-star defensive lineman Xavier Sims appears to be a lock for the Ducks. Now, another big-time Oregon target is set to commit this Saturday as well. We can't forget about this. 2024 4-star quarterback Michael Van Buren will choose between Oregon, Penn State, and Maryland. Van Buren's coming out of St. Francis Academy out of Baltimore, Maryland. Very, very prestigious academy high school out there. Standing 5'11" and a half, 185 pounds. He's listed as a number 11 quarterback, number 129th nationally, and a number 3 player in Maryland on the 247 Sports composite rankings. According to the 247 Sports crystal ball, Oregon looks to be a clean favorite. 6 out of 6 experts have put their crystal balls in for Van Buren, all going to Oregon. 2 lead experts, Steve Wiltfong and Brian Dawn, have placed crystal balls to Oregon. On 3 Sports, you go over there, looks to be the same deal. The Ducks are heavy favorites with a 95.2% chance to land the Under Armour All-American quarterback. Now, Oregon Insider, I don't know if you guys know him, Justin Hopkins out of ScoopDuck.com, and national recruiting analyst Sam Spielman have also on the on3.com side of things have put their crystal balls to Oregon, and that was on April 23rd. The hometown Maryland Terps lead the way in total visits with 7 total visits, while Penn State has gotten 6, and Oregon has gotten their fair shots as well with a total of 5 visits. And it looks like they've gotten the most effective visits. While they haven't got the most visits, I get it, Maryland 7, Penn State 6. They're pretty much really close to Maryland, right? Oregon getting out there 5 times. I mean, you got to be really interested to come to that school if you're going out there 5 times. And it also looks like the Ducks got the most effective visits during the spring. One on April 15th, and then he was there for the spring game on April 29th. Van Buren is also teammates with 4-star defensive back Ife Obadegwu, who just committed to the Ducks as of late. Again, if you haven't seen my breakdown on these players, 2024 4-star defensive back Ife Obadegwu, I strongly recommend you do. It's out there. Now, some of you guys might be asking, wait, Dominic, didn't we already sign a quarterback in this class with 2024 3-star quarterback Luke Moga coming in? And my answer would be to you guys, why, yes, they did. But Dan Lanning and this staff are going to take 2 quarterbacks. It's clear as day. And I think you kind of have to, given Bo Nix is going to be gone after this year. That's a given. And then Ty Thompson's ineffectiveness to progress as a quarterback. I mean, we've seen him plenty of times now. It's just like, how much can we really trust Ty to be the starting quarterback next year? And I mean, in my opinion, I just think he's shown what he can do. I think what he's done is what he can do. Not sure how much more you're going to get from him. I'm not sure much optimism, just to be totally honest, I have for Ty Thompson. As much as I've seen. I mean, besides a pretty good second half against Stony Brook, he's been pretty subpar against D1 competition. And in this spring game, it was another chance to prove it, maybe give me some more optimism for him, and it just wasn't there. So I think that's why Oregon's going to take 2 quarterbacks, and they're looking at Michael Van Buren to add with Luke Moga in this class. And, they got Austin Novostad. You can't forget about him, the 4-star quarterback in this 2023 class. But again, he's a freshman this year. This is a developmental year under Bo Nix for him. Oregon's going to need competition in the quarterback room for this 2024 class, and bringing in 2 quarterbacks will do just that. I think Van Buren is a little bit more polished passer than Moga is. And as well, I think that Van Buren plays higher competition at the high school level than Moga does. So I think that's why you see him a little bit higher rated than Moga is. Moga will bring athleticism and speed at the quarterback position, no doubt. If you guys want to go see him run track, I recommend you do. But he could definitely develop more as a pure passer. Well, that's what Van Buren brings. So it's going to be fun to watch this competition between Ty Thompson, if he sticks around, Austin Novosad, Van Buren, if he commits Saturday, and Luke Moga, who's already committed. It's going to be 4 quarterbacks, and they could take a transfer. You never know. This quarterback room can get packed, and a lot of people can transfer out once the starters out there. Looking forward to 2024. But it's not over yet, guys. There's still potential to keep the Commit Fest rolling. Now, all eyes are on Saturday with Michael Van Buren and Xavier Sims. 2024 4-star wide receiver Dylan Gresham is set to commit on Monday, May 22nd, a couple days later. He has a top 3 of Oregon, Arizona, and Washington. Gresham's coming out of San Jacinto. I'm hopefully I'm saying that right. High school, San Jacinto, California, standing 6 foot, 175 pounds, listed as a number 58 wide receiver, number 407th nationally on 247 Sports composite rankings. Lead expert Steve Wilfonger, 247 Sports, has a crystal ball for Dylan Gresham to Oregon as well. So that's a good sign. And 247 Sports only has that one crystal ball of Steve Wilfonger. So really looking good for the Ducks there as well. Looking for a 3 for 3 over the next few days here. On 3 Sports, recruiting prediction machines heavily favors for the Ducks as well for Gresham at a 97.9% chance to land him. Gresham took 3 unofficial visits in a row to his top 3 list of schools so far. April 4th, he came out to Oregon and took a visit. A couple days later, on April 6th, he went out to Washington. And then a day later, on April 7th, he went out to Arizona. And those are his top 3 schools. Oregon is really looking to load up on this wide receiver position for this class if they were able to land Dylan Gresham, as they already have Jordan Anderson, the number 16 rated wide receiver in this class, and Tyshear Denmark, the number 20th wide receiver in this 2024 class. And if they were add Gresham, the number 58th wide receiver in this class, I mean, talk about a loaded wide receiver room. That is going to be great. So look out for that Monday. Look out for those 2 on Saturday. And it's not over yet. Last but not least, we got to talk about 2024 4-star tight end. Reiner Swanson announced the Ducks in his top 5 list of schools. He's got Oregon, BYU, Texas A&M, Utah, and Texas to fill out that top 5. He's coming out of Laguna Beach out there. And California, Laguna Beach High School, standing 6 foot 4.5, 240 pounds, really good sized tight end, listed as the number 19th tight end, number 387th nationally on the 247 Sports composite rankings. There are no current crystal balls placed for Swanson on 247 Sports, but you go over to On 3 Sports and look at their recruiting prediction machines. The Duck currently hold a slight lead for Swanson with a 35.8% chance to land him. And second, we got Texas Longhorns on the Ducks' heels at 31.3%. So it's a neck-and-neck race between the Ducks and the Longhorns, it looks like, as of now. No official crystal balls in yet. He's got a top 5, but it doesn't look like he's nearing a decision. So it is coming close. Utah is at a third. And a distant third at 13.8% on that on3.com recruiting prediction machine. So Utes hanging around there. Swanson took an unofficial visit to Oregon on April 20th and is set to take an official visit to Eugene on June 9th. So that will be big, getting an official. Like I said, it looks to be a Longhorns and Ducks race for Swanson. Swanson will take an official visit to Texas on June 1st as well. As of now, Texas-Oregon battle, slight underdog contenders like the Utes are still there. He's got a top 5. Looks like he's focusing on these 5, starting to take officials in the summer. We're going to keep an eye on this and see when he's going to set a commitment date. Excuse me. So, 4-star defensive lineman Xavier Sims, 4-star quarterback Michael Van Buren, set to make their decisions on Saturday. Ducks look to be in very good spots there. Monday, a couple days later, 4-star Dylan Gresham going to be committing. Ducks look to be in good position there as well. Could be 3 out of 3 commitments, guys. It's going to get real hot in here, real crazy in here in the next couple days for the Ducks. and Reiner Swanson put us in his top 5. So that's going to be great. Again, guys, I really appreciate everybody coming in once again and joining the podcast. We're going to be, I'm going to be, if these guys commit, I'm going to be camping this weekend. So I'm probably not going to be able to get you guys a video on these guys and my breakdown and analysis on these guys. If these guys commit, I always like to do my breakdown and analysis, try to get them on the podcast as well for interviews. But never the doubt, when I come back, I will be on that for you guys, without a doubt. So stay tuned, guys. I appreciate you guys. Everybody subscribing. I'm your host, Dominic Peterson. This is the Ducks on 503 podcast, where we talk all things Oregon football. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button down below. Tell your family about the podcast. Go Ducks. I'll see you in the next podcast.